Why is legislative immunity for these traffic violations the best example of our local governmental system completely failing? We've got legislators who profess to love the rule of law, but they're also the ones who flaunt the laws and declare themselves above those same laws. And I got to tell you, this is evidence of the end of anything envisioned by our forefathers. This is not at all what we thought this country was supposed to become. In fact, we were supposed to have safeguards against this. And there was never the conception that we would have people so ignorant of how they're viewed and then so much support for it that this could ever happen. But here we are. We're at this point where you've got legislators that say, I wrote the law and I don't have to follow the law. You've got supporters that say, that's my person. I really like that. I'm going to keep voting for that person because they don't pay attention to those nonsense laws that they're in charge of. This is what we tend to see right now. And it brings us back to this. When we've got Jake Hoffman, senator, fake elector, state senator, who has legislative immunity so he doesn't get a speeding ticket for going 24 miles over the speed limit, which incidentally is criminal. Not only does he not get the speeding ticket, he doesn't get the notification on his license saying he got this, that he was doing 24 over, which means he can do it again tomorrow and again the next day and again the next day. Whereas if you got pulled over for going 24 over the limit and then did it the next day, you'd have your license suspended. And then as soon as you get your license back, you do it again. We got habitual offender status.
So what does happen to Hoffman, though? I guess technically it could be
He gets railed on by some goober on the radio. Technically, it could be refiled. And that happened with Justine Wadsack, who was the one from Tucson. She was doing 70 and a 35. It was refiled. And in fact, the judge let her have it. Former state senator Justine Wadsack, caught going 71 and a 35 last year, didn't immediately receive a ticket because the legislature was still in session. Mm-hmm. Tucson Police, is from the Arizona Republic. Tucson Police filed it after the session ended, with the magistrate, Lisa Sergio, later rejecting her lawyer's motion to dismiss the case, writing the session had ended. She noted that Wadsack's ticket included a criminal, not civil speeding charge, and said this, and I'm so glad she did. This is the magistrate. This court finds defense counsel's assertion that members of the legislature freely speed all the time disturbing, noting that public employment is not a sanctuary for crime. In other words, Wadsack actually used in her defense, I shouldn't get this ticket because everybody does it. All the legislators do this.
Yeah, all of my people do it.
Fortunately, the magistrate said we're not going to have that. So, Joe, you asked the question. I don't mean to steal your thunder here.
No, please do.
I want to give you the credit on this. You asked the question, what is the role then of a legislator? Why do they have this legislative immunity? We know it goes back to the formation of the state. And that was, we wanted to make sure that it wasn't that we wanted to give them license to do something wrong. It wasn't even a license to speed. It was to prevent crooked officials, especially in the executive branch, from delaying legislators from doing their job. In one case, it was a cop that kept pulling people over and delaying them from getting to their votes, right? I mean, that's why it was there, was to stop crooked executives from using their arm of the law to prevent the legislature from doing their jobs.
And in rehearsal, we talked a little bit, and I asked you, well, what is the job of the legislature? What is the job of a legislator? And I loved how succinctly you put the answer.
I said, I think that their job is to lead and be a voice of the people.
And as part of that, if you're a leader, shouldn't the laws, before they apply to anybody else, shouldn't they apply to you, a leader?
If you believe in leading by example, yeah.
What leader doesn't believe or feels they shouldn't lead by example?
I think this comes back to the premise of our why today. Why is this the best example of our local governmental system failing? And you say, what leader? And I say, we have lots of leaders that believe the law applies to thee, not to me. We've got it when it comes to speeding, which I know speeding is not the biggest issue facing America today, right?
Yeah.
But if we were to ask these same legislators, these are typically very conservative rule of law legislators, tough on crime type people, right? If we were to ask them, should we employ the broken window theory? Meaning if somebody breaks a window, throws a rock through a window, should we give them a slap on the wrist, or should we set an example so that they can straighten their lives out at that moment? They would inevitably say, We got to come down hard on them when they're breaking windows so that we don't catch them later selling drugs and
murdering people.
Exactly. And yet when it comes to them breaking the statutes, they go, immunity.
Yeah, somehow the process has gotten, sullied and dirtied here where they understand they're supposed to act in the best interest of the citizens. They feel they're doing what's best for us by writing the rules and hearing the bills that they could be debating. They go through all of that. But then when it comes to applying it to themselves,
yes,
everything goes sideways.
And I think that's almost become part of their brand now.
Yeah, we have to follow the law.
Yeah.
But they can speed whenever they want to.
But there is a certain pride in that now. There's a certain pride in saying, I have been targeted by the evil state troopers, the DPS troopers.
No.
I've been targeted by Governor Hobbs' Gazpacho police. Shout out to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who doesn't know what Gestapo is. They're able to say that Justine Wadsack used that in her defense, that this was a political persecution to try to stop her from going double the speed limit, right? I don't think that we are a government of the people, by the people, and for the people like Lincoln once declared in the Gettysburg Address. I don't think so. We are an oligarchy that is now being led by people who are concerned with maintaining their power at all cost, including disregarding election results, Jake Hoffman. Maybe the most alarming is just how proud these people are. Disregarding the rule of law is now their brand. They're the first to complain if they don't like what someone else is doing, but they're also the first to scream, I'm a victim, the moment they get caught. They are the worst example of a little brother. They are the worst. Mom, Chris made me feel sad about myself. Oh, Chris, you're grounded. How dare you do such a thing? Urgh.
You had a little brother growing up, didn't you?
Can I give you a little brother story here?
Yeah.
Just because I want to kind of change the tempo.
I was an only child, so I didn't deal with any of that.
So my little brother was, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. So my little brother was a wetter. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we got in trouble and Mom had a wooden paddle. She called it Peter paddle. All right. So she had this wooden paddle, good sized hunk of wood. Mm-hmm. And my brother and I were going at it one night, whatever it was. And we really got on my mom's nerves and we had to have a meeting with Peter. So I went first. No. Whack. Ah! Whack.
Right on the fanny.
Whack. Ah! Now go to bed. So bed was upstairs and there was a door at the bottom of the stairs. And the only good thing about this is that as I was the first to go, it meant I got to hear my brother's pain. So I come up the stairs and I have to stop crying. So at least I can hear him wailing. And I get to the top of the stairs and I just hear whack. Ah! Whack. Ah! Whack. Ah! I'm going, I do feel better. And I hear, now go to bed. And my brother's, he's holding his robe. It hurts. And he comes to the stairs and he closes the door that's at the bottom of the stairs. And he goes, and he looked up at me and he goes, didn't hurt, had my diaper on. Rules for thee, not for me. And now the legislature is acting like my little brother.
Thanks for watching The Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.